The knife sliced through the birthday cake with a sickening ease, mirroring the way my world would shatter just hours later. Jordan's fingers intertwined with mine as we laughed over the flickering candles, his touch the only anchor in the storm I couldn't yet see brewing. But when the phone rang at midnight, shattering the illusion of our perfect night in our cramped Brooklyn loft, I answered without knowing it would unravel every thread of the life we'd woven together. I remember the exact moment the call came through, the screen lighting up with an unknown number from upstate New York. Jordan was mid-sip of his whiskey, his blue eyes catching the warm glow of the string lights we'd hung haphazardly across the exposed brick walls. Our apartment was a testament to our shared dreams, stacks of my unfinished canvases leaning against thrift store furniture, his law books piled beside my art supplies, a chaotic harmony that screamed young love in the city that never sleeps. Alex Thompson, the voice on the other end, barked, clipped and formal, like a door slamming in a quiet room. It was my father's attorney, a man I'd only heard of in whispers from family gatherings I avoided like the plague. "Your father passed away this evening, Mr. Thompson. Heart attack. Sudden." The words hung in the air, heavy as the humid July night pressing against our windows. Jordan's face paled as he set down his glass, reaching for me instinctively. I pulled away, not out of rejection, but because the ground beneath me felt like it was tilting. My father, Richard Thompson, the steel-hearted real estate mogul who'd built an empire from nothing in the cutthroat world of Manhattan development. The man who disowned me at 18 when I came out as gay, mailing back my acceptance letter to Pratt Institute with a single note, "Earn it yourself." We'd been estranged for 7 years, our interactions limited to the occasional glare across holiday tables at my aunt's insistence. And now he was gone. Jordan wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder as I clutched the phone. "What do you mean, passed away? He was fine last month." The attorney cleared his throat, papers rustling in the background. "There's a will. It names you as the primary beneficiary. Everything, the properties, the trust, the Thompson Enterprises stake. But there's complications. Family contesting it already. You'll need to come to the estate in the Hamptons tomorrow morning." I hung up, the room spinning. Jordan turned me to face him, his hands framing my cheeks, thumbs brushing away tears I hadn't realized were falling. "Hey, breathe, Alex. Whatever this is, we'll face it together. You're not alone." His voice was steady, that low timbre that had first drawn me to him 2 years ago at a queer art gallery opening in Chelsea. We'd locked eyes across a room full of abstract sculptures and rainbow flags, and he'd approached with a shy grin, complimenting my piece, a raw portrait of a man emerging from shadows, inspired by my own closet days. From that night on, Jordan Hale had been my rock, my escape from the freelance graphic design gigs that barely paid rent, my partner in late-night walks along the East River where we'd dream of opening our own gallery someday. But as I buried my face in his chest, inhaling the familiar scent of his cedar cologne mixed with the faint trace of city rain, a flicker of something uneasy stirred in my gut. Why now? Why me? My father had made it clear I was no son of his, not after I chose authenticity over his vision of a proper heir. Yet here was this inheritance, a fortune that could rewrite our lives, fund the gallery, buy a real home, silence the doubts that whispered I wasn't enough. We barely slept that night. Jordan held me through the tremors of grief and shock, his whispers promising we'd navigate this maze together. By dawn, we were in a rented SUV barreling east on the Long Island Expressway, the skyline shrinking in the rear view as we traded concrete jungles for manicured hedges and ocean views. The Hamptons estate loomed like a villain from a Gothic novel, sprawling white columns against the slate-gray sky, waves crashing against the private beach below. My cousins and aunts milled about the grand foyer when we arrived, their faces masks of practiced sympathy laced with venomous side-eyes. "Alex," my cousin Elena drawled, her diamond earrings glinting like daggers, "didn't expect to see you here. Daddy's little rebel, cashing in at last." Jordan's grip tightened on my hand, a silent shield. He was always the calm one, the junior associate at a midtown firm who'd chosen corporate law over the cutthroat partnerships my father embodied. Or so he told me. We settled into the library for the reading, the air thick with the scent of old leather and salt water. The attorney, Mr. Hargrove, a wiry man with wire-rimmed glasses, cleared his throat and began. Assets tallied in the hundreds of millions. The flagship Thompson Tower in Midtown, Vacation homes from Aspen to Monaco, offshore accounts that could fund a small nation. And then, the bombshell. To my son, Alexander Richard Thompson, I bequeath the entirety of my estate in recognition of the man he became despite my failings. No conditions. Gasps rippled through the room. Elena's mouth hung open like a fish on a hook. My uncle, a red-faced venture capitalist, slammed his fist on the armrest. This is preposterous. Richard knew the boy was unfit. There must be a codicil. But Hargrove shook his head, sliding the document across the mahogany table. It was ironclad, notarized months ago after my father's diagnosis. For a heartbeat, elation surged through me, like the weight of 7 years' rejection lifting in one fell swoop. Jordan squeezed my knee under the table, his smile radiant, pride shining in his eyes. You deserve this, Alex. All of it. We slipped away to the veranda as the family descended into chaos, the sun breaking through clouds to paint the Atlantic gold. He pulled me into a kiss, deep and affirming, his hands roaming my back as if mapping the future we'd now afford. Our gallery, he murmured against my lips. Travels. No more scraping by. I laughed, the sound foreign after the morning's tears, and for the first time, I let myself believe in redemption. But as we lingered there, the waves a rhythmic underscore to our joy, a shadow, fell across the doorway. Hargrove approached, his face ashen, a folder clutched in his trembling hands. Mr. Thompson, Alex, there's been a development. A letter from your father, sealed for this occasion only. It changes everything. Jordan's arms stiffened around my waist. I took the envelope, my father's bold script staring back. For Alexander, truth at last. Inside was a single sheet, typed but signed in his looping hand. It detailed a secret he'd carried for decades, an affair in his youth, a child born out of wedlock, hidden to protect the family name. DNA tests enclosed, irrefutable. The child's name? Jordan Heir. My Jordan, the real heir, legitimized in this final twist, with instructions to contest the will if needed, to claim what was rightfully his by blood. The world went silent, save for the roar in my ears. Jordan's face drained of color as he read over my shoulder, his body going rigid against mine. Alex, I didn't know. God, I swear I had no idea. But the pieces clicked into place, the way he'd always dodged questions about his past, the unexplained trips to upstate, the comfort he had with my family's cold formality. He'd known fragments, perhaps piecing together his own suspicions. But this was the dagger. Elena's voice pierced the haze from inside. Contest. We back you, Jordan, whatever relation you claim. Opportunity glittered in their eyes, the vultures circling. Jordan pulled away, his gaze fractured, torn between the man he loved and the legacy he'd never sought but now couldn't ignore. I stumbled back, the veranda railing digging into my spine. 25 years old, and in one breath, I'd inherited a kingdom, only to watch it, and the heart of my world, slip through my fingers like sand. The drive back to the city was a funeral procession in slow motion. Jordan gripped the wheel white-knuckled, the Hamptons fading in the side mirror like a bad dream we couldn't wake from. I stared out at the passing pines, the letter crumpled in my lap, its words burning into my retinas. Why didn't you tell me? I finally whispered, my voice raw as the salt-stung air. He glanced over, eyes rimmed red, the man who'd once been my safe harbor now adrift. Because I didn't know, Alex. Not for sure. My mom, she worked for your dad back in the 90s, a secretary in his Albany office. She raised me alone, said my father was some ghost who'd left before I was born. I pieced it together last year, after she got sick and confessed bits. But I buried it. For us. For us. The words twisted like a knife, because what was us now? The will stood, for now. But the family was already lawyering up, Elena's husband on the phone with shards from Wall Street firms. Jordan, with his blood tie proven, could upend it all. And part of me, the wounded boy who'd clawed for every scrap of approval, wondered if he would. We'd build our love on borrowed time, in the shadows of my father's ghost, but this revelation dragged it into the light, exposing fractures I hadn't seen. Back in Brooklyn, the loft felt alien, the birthday cake congealing on the counter like a mocking relic. Jordan paced the kitchen, phone buzzing with messages from Hargrove. Updates on the contest filings, offers of mediation. I don't want it, he said, stopping to face me, desperation etching lines around his mouth. The money, the empire, none of it. I want you. This life. He crossed the room in 2 strides, cupping my face, his kiss fierce, a plea wrapped in passion. I melted into it for a moment, tasting salt from our unshed tears, his body pressing mine against the wall in a bid to reclaim normalcy. But doubt festered. That night, as we lay tangled in sheets damp with sweat from frantic lovemaking, I couldn't shake the whispers. Was his tenderness real, or laced with the guilt of a secret son? By morning, the first legal papers arrived, served to our door by a courier in a sleek suit. Petition to invalidate the will on grounds of undue influence and fraud, citing Jordan's parentage as key evidence. Signed by my uncle, but with Jordan's name curiously absent. Yet, we met with Hargrove in his Midtown office that afternoon, a glass tower overlooking the chaos of Times Square. Jordan sat ramrod straight, his tie askew, while I fidgeted with the hem of my shirt. The contest has merit, Hargrove admitted, steepled fingers hiding his unease. Blood trumps sentiment in probate court. If Jordan claims it, he could take half, no more. But if he disavows, it's risky. Your father wanted him protected. Jordan's jaw clenched. I disavow. Tell them. Hargrove nodded, but his eyes lingered on Jordan with a mix of pity and calculation. As we left, descending in the elevator that hummed like a coffin closing, I turned to him. Is that what you want? To throw away your birthright for? What? A boyfriend who's suddenly the villain in his own family drama. He grabbed my arms, pinning me gently against the mirrored wall. For the man I love, who fought for every inch of his dreams without a safety net. You're my birthright, Alex. The words should have healed, but they ignited instead. That evening, over takeout time in our loft, spring rolls cooling untouched, we unraveled. You pitted me, I accused, voice rising with the wine I'd poured too freely. The poor disowned gay kid scraping by. That's why you stayed, isn't it? Slumming it until the truth came calling. Hurt flashed in his eyes, raw and unguarded. God, no. I stay because you see me, not the polished facade, but the mess underneath. I chose this city, this life, because of you. But if you think it's pity, then maybe I've been lying to myself too. He stormed out, the door clicking shut like a guillotine. I collapsed onto the couch, the canvases mocking me from the corner. One half-finished portrait of him, his smile captured in broad strokes of cerulean and gold. Hours blurred into a haze of texts unanswered, calls to voicemail. By midnight, Elena's email arrived. A scanned copy of the DNA report, annotated with barbs. Dearest cousin, blood will tell. Jordan's already consulting our firm. Tick-tock. Panic clawed at my chest. I grabbed my jacket, hailing a cab to his firm's office on Park Avenue, the streets slick with summer rain. The lobby was deserted, security eyeing me warily as I demanded to see him. He's in a meeting, the receptionist said, but I heard voices from the conference room. Jordan's, steady and professional, laced with an edge I'd never known. I burst in, rain dripping from my hair, to find him across from Elena and my uncle, papers spread like a battlefield. Alex, Jordan started, rising, but Elena smirked. Perfect timing. We're discussing the settlement. Jordan gets the tower. You keep the scraps. Family harmony, darling. My uncle nodded smug. Jordan's face crumpled, but before he could speak, I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Harmony? This is theft, dressed up as legacy. I turned to Jordan, heart hammering. Choose. Now. Them or me. The room froze. Elena's smirk faltered. Jordan stepped forward, voice breaking. You. Always you. He swept the papers aside, scattering them like leaves, and pulled me out into the storm-swept night. We ran, blocks blurring, until we collapsed against a lamppost in Grand Central, breaths mingling in the downpour. I met with them to end it, he gasped. To sign away any claim, make them drop the suit. For us. Relief crashed over me, mingled with shame. I'm sorry. I just lost it all in my head already. He kissed me then, rain-soaked and desperate, the station's grand clock ticking above us like a heartbeat. But as we stumbled home, arms linked, the real storm was just beginning. The family's lawyers didn't relent. Injunctions flew, tabloids sniffed the scandal. A disowned gay son versus the secret heir lover. Our faces splashed across page 6. Thompson Empire in queer air twist. Paparazzi camped our stoop by week's end, flashes blinding as we dodged into the loft. Jordan's firm put him on leave. Conflict of interest, they called it. but I saw the fear in his eyes, the dream of partnership evaporating. My gigs dried up too, clients whispering about the unstable Thompson boy. We barricaded ourselves inside, living on delivery and denial, making love like it could ward off the siege. One night, tangled in the dark, he traced my spine with trembling fingers. If we lose everything, we start over. Together. That's the real inheritance. But loss has teeth. The court date loomed in 2 weeks, a Manhattan courtroom where judges eyed us like exhibits. Hargrove prepped us relentlessly. Depositions where Elena painted me as a gold-digging opportunist. My coming out of phase my father regretted. Jordan testified first, voice steady as he renounced his claim. Blood doesn't make family. Love does. The gallery watched, transfixed. Reporters scribbling, my aunt dabbing crocodile tears. My turn came, the stand a scaffold under hot lights. My father rejected me for who I am, I said, meeting the judge's gaze. But in his last act, he saw me. Truly, this isn't about money, it's about forgiveness. For him, for me. Jordan's eyes locked on mine from the bench, pride and pain mirrored back. The judge adjourned, promising a ruling soon, but the toll mounted. Sleepless nights bled into days. I painted furiously abstracts of fractured skylines, while Jordan paced job offers from rival firms tainted by scandal. Then, the night before the verdict, Elena cornered us in a Soho cafe, neutral ground for talks. Her eyes gleamed with malice over her latte. Walk away, Alex. Take a payout. 5 mil, and vanish. Jordan stays in the family, gets his due. Or we drag this out, expose every dirty secret. Your little love nest? Child's play compared to what we know. Jordan's hand crushed mine under the table. We know nothing but your greed, he shot back. She laughed, sliding a photo across. Us in that rooftop kiss on my birthday, candid and intimate. Blackmail? Really? I scoffed, but I slithered down my spine. As she left, Jordan's face hardened. They're desperate. We fight. But doubt crept in, a thief in the night. That evening, alone while he ran errands, I rifled through his briefcase. Old letters from his mother, yellowed and cryptic. One line seared. He knows about the boy, Jordan. Don't let him use you. Use. The word echoed. Had my father planted this? Groomed Jordan in secret, a backup heir to dangle if I failed? Paranoia festered as Jordan returned, arms laden with groceries for a normal dinner. We ate in silence, the pasta congealing like our resolve. Do you regret it? I asked finally, fork stabbing a meatball. Choosing me over. Everything. He set down his glass, eyes searching mine. Never. But if this breaks us. He trailed off, the unspoken hanging. We fell into bed, bodies seeking solace, but my mind raced. In the witching hour, I slipped out, wandering the fire escape to the roof, the city a glittering accusation below. Stars peeked through light pollution, indifferent witnesses. Footsteps creaked behind me, Jordan blanket draped. Can't sleep either. We sat shoulder to shoulder, the Brooklyn Bridge a luminous vein across the water. I love you, he said softly, but this fight, it's poisoning us. Tears pricked. Then what? Run? Let them win. He pulled me close, his heartbeat syncing with mine. No, we redefine winning. If the money's gone, we build something real. Art, law. Our gallery, pro bono for queer kids. Legacy isn't boardrooms, its lives changed. Dawn painted the sky rose as the ruling dropped. Well, upheld, contest dismissed. The courtroom erupted. Elena's shriek, my uncle's curses, but Jordan and I slipped out, hands clasped, into the crisp September air. Reporters swarmed, but we pushed through, hailing a cab to Central Park. Under the Bethesda fountain, amid tourists and pigeons, we kissed, free, unbroken. The inheritance? We funneled it wisely. Scholarships for LGBTQ+ artists, a foundation for estranged families. Thompson Enterprises? Sold piecemeal, proceeds to causes that healed what my father had broken. 6 months later, our gallery opened in Williamsburg, walls alive with stories of resilience, Jordan's legal aid clinic in the back room. On our first anniversary, not a birthday, he proposed under those same string lights, rings simple silver etched with truth at last. I said yes, not to empire, but to us, the real heirs of a love that outlasted blood and betrayal. Yet echoes linger. Sometimes in quiet moments, I wonder about the man my father could have been, the son he almost knew. But Jordan's hand in mine grounds me. On my 26th birthday, as we cut cake in our sunlit space, friends toasting, canvases glowing, we laughed without shadows. Loss had stripped us bare, but in the ruins, we'd forged gold. Not inherited, but earned. Together.